द्रवमयो हरि कृष्ण द्रवमयी राधा राधा द्रवमयो हरि जीवनेन धने नित्यं राधा कृष्ण गते मम जीवनेन धने नित्यं राधा कृष्ण गते मम कृष्ण गेहे स्थिता राधा राधा गेहे स्थितो हरि कृष्ण गेहे स्थिता राधा राधा गेहे स्थितो हरि जीवनेन धने नित्यं राधा कृष्ण गते मम जीवनेन धने नित्यं राधा कृष्ण गते मम कृष्ण चित्त स्थिता राधा राधा चित्त स्थितो हरि जीवनेन धने नित्यं राधा कृष्ण गते मम नीलाम्बरधरा राधा पीताम्बरधरो हरि जीवनेन धने नित्यं राधा कृष्ण गते मम वृन्दावनेश्वरी राधा कृष्णो वृन्दावनेश्वरा जीवनेन धने नित्यं राधा कृष्ण गते मम कृष्ण प्रेममयी राधा राधा प्रेममयो हरि हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। हरे कृष्णा। थैंक यू फॉर द सर्विस। धन्यवाद प्रणाम।
Hari 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 Bol, Deepa Mataji. Very, very nice. Very nice. Very melodious bhajan and kirtan.
Thank you, Mataji.
So grateful. Okay. Hare Krishna, Vrichandika Mataji. So we'll welcome Vrichandika Mataji to ICF Forum. And Mataji, over to you. You can start.
Yeah. Very nice bhajan and very nice singing also, actually. So, next 5 minutes,
Thank you,
6 minutes, I'll do this Jai Radha Madhava and then we will begin soon. Thank you. Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava O Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. 2 minutes, I'll just drink some water and I'll come back.
Sure, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajeevam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Vishesha Shunyavadi Pashyati Deshkari Narayana Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudire Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Nishti Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Gopikaya Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for this opportunity for another Shrimad Bhagavatam session. Today we are reading from the 6th chapter. The title is Purusha Sukta Confirmed. Correct, no? Yeah. Purusha Sukta Confirmed. And today we are reading from Shloka 42 to 46. This marks the end of chapter of the 6th chapter of the 2nd canto. And because we are in the last that is end of chapter, little bit we'll discuss what where we are now in the discussion, so that we get a little recap also. And I will share my screen and we will read this verse to 642 and then we will start the discussion. Vasudha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, can you help me out to read, Mataji?
Yeah.
Quite big.
Adyovatara Purusha Parasya.
Adyovataraha Purusha Parasya.
Kala Swabhava Sadasanmanascha.
Kala Swabhava Sadasanmanascha.
Dravyam Vikaro Guna Indriyani.
Dravyam Vikaro Guna Indriyani.
Virat Swarat Sthansu. Virat Swarat Sthasnu Charishnu Bhumnaha.
Virat Swaratsnatsnu Charisnu Bhumna.
Yeah, you can read the translation, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Karnavasayad Vishnu is the first incarnation of the Supreme Lord, and he is the master of eternal time, space, cause and effects, mind, the elements, the material ego, the modes of nature, the senses, the universal form of the Lord, Garbhodasai Vishnu, and the sum total of all living beings, both moving and non-moving. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mother.
So this translation summarizes it all. It says how the Supreme Lord is all in all. He is the supreme of all the creation that exists. So what in the beginning of the discussion, what has happened is Naraji, son of Brahma, is amazed by the beautiful creation, amazed by the work of Brahmaji. He knows that Brahma, his father, is the creator of this beautiful material universe. The beauty as well as the complication of this material energy, how it is working, this material universe. He is amazed and he is astonished and is happy and joyous, and is inquiring from his father that how did you create so much? Is it that it's just your intelligence, or is there you have someone help, or how is that? And to his reply, Brahmaji, he says that he is very happy because he is getting an opportunity to glorify the Supreme Lord. And he says that, you know what, actually I'm just a secondary creator. The primary creator, the foremost creator, the creator of everything, the cause of all causes is the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And everything is created by him. Everything is created and everything is existing already in unmanifested form. And what I'm just doing is, by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, bringing every element into its manifested form. That's all which is I'm doing. I don't know where it starts. I don't know where it ends. Just I bring them into manifestation. And that also happens by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Just me, by me alone, I am incapable of doing anything. So that is, he says, and there are shlokas and shlokas, and Prabhupada in purports explain how Brahmaji is so happy to extol the glories of the Supreme Lord. So then Brahmaji also says that when he was born from the Nabhi of the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, when he was born of the Nabhi, from the navel of the Lord, when he opened his eyes, there was nothing around, and he had to perform sacrifice. And to perform sacrifice, we need so much of paraphernalia, so many elements, so many things, so many people, we need the priests, we need the demigods, we need so many things are required for a small sacrifice. Only we need a few things. So for that big sacrifice, he needed all the things, and absolutely there was nothing. And that is the time his Lord's body, through Lord's body, all the ingredients were produced. And Brahmaji goes to say that I had to use the physical body of the Supreme Lord to collect all the ingredients required for that sacrifice. I had to collect all the ingredients. That is goes to say that, and then that sacrifice is performed for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. So the ingredients, the materials, the people, everything comes from the physical body of the Supreme Lord, and it is performed for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. So it goes on to say that how we living entities, anything we do, it is not that when we are offering something to the Lord, or when we are performing a sacrifice to the Lord, or anything we are giving to the Lord, it is that it is ours that we are giving. Everything, every little thing, every living as well as a non-living thing that exists in this world belongs to the Supreme Lord. Just that we collect it and we give it. The best example is that when we are offering water to the Ganges, we take water from the Ganges and we offer it to her. We take it and we offer it to her. And we take it and offer it to her. And Ganga Mataji is happy and she's satisfied. So whatever offerings, whatever charity, anything we are doing to the Lord, everything is His only. Everything is His only. We are a very, very tiny small portion. We just give it back to Him. And with that action, just by our action of giving that to the Supreme Lord, serving the Lord, satisfying the Lord, pleasing the Lord, Lord is completely satisfied, and process what happens is our heart gets purified. So that way Brahmaji goes on to explain that everything, whatever is existing, belongs to the Lord. And then he very important thing, Brahmaji says that because he has surrendered to the Supreme Lord, what has happened is whatever he speaks never proves to be false. Second, his mind is not deterred or bewildered. And third, his senses are not illusion. His senses are not carried away by material pleasure. So these three things he's achieved because he has surrendered himself to Supreme Lord, which is so very important, that our speech is purified. He says his words never prove to be false. That is the power of a devotee. So only now when Arjuna says that, when Krishna says to Arjuna, you declare, Kaunteya pratijani name bhakti pranashyati. So whatever spoken by the Lord, by the devotees of the Lord makes sure that that works, that helps, that works. So his words are not. So that is the intimacy, that is the closeness, that is the love between the devotee and the Supreme Lord. Words are never proven to be false. Then his mind is not bewildered or declared deterred. That is our problem. Our problem is the mind. The mind takes us to always it is hankering and lamenting, asking, looking for something and then not getting satisfied and looking for something else. Always the whatever you call as peace or whatever you call as happiness, that is all told by our mind. So mind, the stability of the mind, the focus of the mind on the Supreme Lord comes by surrendering to the Supreme Lord. That is second one. And third one of Brahmaji says is, one is his words, one is his mind, and his senses are not. Senses are always attracted for sense objects. That is called a sense gratification. And when the senses are doubted for the service of the Supreme Lord, that is the actual service which we are doing. That is Brahmaji says is his senses don't are not not attracted to sense objects. That is, these three things are achieved by surrendering to the Supreme Lord. And then the next one more was Brahmaji says that with the whole thing, what I have understood, an important thing that I have understood is it is not possible for me to know the Supreme Lord in completeness. This is what Brahmaji is saying, that I Lord, including Lord Shiva, even nobody can know the Supreme Lord completely. And what to speak about us? Even the Supreme Lord cannot know about him completely. Why? Because his glories are ever increasing, his beauty is ever increasing, his power is ever increasing. It is unlimited, it is already unlimited and ever increasing. That is the proportion of Lord's glories. And it is impossible for me to know him completely. And when Brahmaji is saying that it is impossible for him, then where do we stand? Where do we stand? So that is another thing. And another important thing what Brahmaji is saying is, with the entire lesson that of my birth I see, then the sacrifices, then the different creation, and how this material universe is time and again created and annihilated. The entire thing, I have just learned one thing: to catch hold of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So now that is important. That is the realization. That is that he is so old. Brahmaji has a very long life, and he has a very deep experience in his life, and he's very close to the Supreme Lord. And he is that, we can say, the great grandfather is telling us that the essence of all my understanding is to catch hold of the supreme lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. That is the only place of shelter. That is the only real place of shelter. Everything else is false. That is his conclusion. When that is his conclusion, what could be the other conclusion for us? So what we learn is simply catch hold of the Supreme Lord, lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Simply cry out for Lord's mercy. Simply cry out for Lord's mercy. And when Brahmaji is saying that it is not possible for him, it is not possible for him to know the Supreme Lord completely. Only when we are serving the Lord, only the devotees of the Lord, only the devotees of the Lord to some extent will be possible to know to some extent the glory of the Lord. Why is like that? Because devotees of the Lord, their only objective is to please the Lord. And when we have the objective only to please the Lord, not extracting anything from the Lord, not wanting anything, just the highest objective is to, that was the what were proud was practiced by the Shadago Swamis also. And when we see the Chaitanya Charitamrita, all the great souls, what we see is their objective is only to please Krishna. And when we do that, then Lord reveals himself. So maximum about what? About the Lord. To the more means it is not possible to know him completely, but at least to highest degree, what is known about the Lord is the devotees, to the devotees of the Lord. Why is that? Because anyone else, the fruity workers, or if we consider fruity workers, why they worship the Lord? Because they want something. Like they have a list that I'll worship you, I want this. So that is there is an exchange. That is, they worship for a reason. And if he goes for mystic yogas, because they want mystic powers, they want to exhibit their mystic powers for their material sense gratification. So they are worshipping the Lord. The philosophers, if you say philosophers, means they really want to know. They want to know about the Lord. That inquisitiveness is there to knowing more and more deeping, so that we can understand the complete. That I want to have complete knowledge. I want to have complete control of what exactly, how exactly it is happening. So that is the philosopher's means what he says. That is what his expectation is. But for a devotee, he doesn't have any expectation. So maximum. So when we are in the mood of just serving the Lord, Lord reveals himself. And what is the benefit of revealing, understanding about the Lord? When we understand about the Lord, the glories of the Lord. See, now one aspect of the Supreme Lord is his supremacy in terms of the entire cosmic manifestation. Everything that exists, everything means every Stavara and Jangama, that is, everything grows and subtle objects, from stones to pebbles to humans, everything that exists is the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. It is a portion, it is energy of the Supreme Lord only. There is nothing beyond the Lord. He is the cause of all causes, and everything for everything to exist, that is, Lord is only responsible. There is nothing, is actually we are just we feel that there is something we are doing, but we are not doing anything actually. So that is one way of understanding the glory, the supremacy of the Lord. And second level of understanding is the sweetness of the Lord. And when we understand, when we get the realization in the heart, when we serve the Lord, and when that realization comes in our heart through the mercy of the Lord, that time what we understand is the sweetness of the Lord. And what happens by understanding the sweetness of the Lord? We understand the subtle qualities. How is our eternal friend? How much we should be grateful for what he is doing. That gratitude aspect develops. The grateful aspect develops. When we understand that how is our dear friend, and in every situation, every moment of our life, in any situation we are placed in, how Lord is personally taking care of me, and how he is guiding me from within, and how we start understanding what is best for me, and how we start expecting very much less from this world, and how we understand that how our position is so very negligible. We don't have to so much worry about our life, because now what has happened, if we are like 50 years, what has happened in last year also we don't remember. At least when we were small, up to 20, 30, 40 years, we don't know exactly the details about anything that has happened. Time has just passed, and time will continue to pass, and finally we will end up in a position and a place that what is actually we have achieved in life, and life will just go by. There's nothing much will happen. So those details there, how much to worry, how much not to worry, what are we supposed to worry, how much to make our life successful, those details are revealed from within our heart by serving the Supreme Lord. This is the essence which Brahmaji tells. This is what I have understood. This is what I have understood. And but Prabhupada explains in detail, in all the purports. If we say, he explains in detail. And when we were talking about the Virat Rupa also, now all this comes within the cosmos, the great energy of the Lord. And when we see, because see, now for us devotees, what should so one thing is we have to surrender, and one thing we all this we discuss. And when we see the world also, when we see the creation also, when we see the sun, when we see the sun, what sun is an energy of the Lord. And what is sun planet? It has been burning since billions of years. There is no question of fuel getting exhausted, and we man-made things. We may see beautiful things, the entire city glowing in the night. We may see so many things are happening now. If we see a cricket field also, that high, that lights there. So much manifestation is there in production of energy. But in during Prabhupada time also, there was blackout in New York City actually. For 2-3 days, there was no current only. And then life halts. And that too, if it happens in a winter season, life goes. People really die also because the heater system doesn't work. So we cannot say the man-made energies or man-made creations are permanent. We cannot say at all. Absolutely, we cannot say. But when we see to the sun, we should remember the glory of the Lord. When we see the sun and how he is always emanating energy, how he brings the life into sustenance. That is, the life which we are existing is because of the sun and heat, light, and then he purifies, and he himself does not get purified. This is an energy of the Lord, one energy of the Lord. It is not that he has multifarious energies and that is unlimited amount of energy which is there in Lord's creation. So anything very beautiful, anything with this which is very powerful, when we see, it should increase our love towards, it should increase one more step closer to the Lord. And there is no question of feeling envious about the Lord. That is the difference between a devotee and a non-devotee. Because immediately a common people will try to exploit the energy of this Lord, and how he tries to exploit. That is what is happening in the current world. Exploitation of Lord's energy and making use of the energy for personal sense gratification. And there we fall short of everything. Because now when we see the fuel, everything which is dug deep, and petroleum, everything is getting exploited. Everything is Lord's energy. That sun's rays which get into the now wood, when we burn it, light comes. How the energy of the sun is stored in the wood, and so when we burn it, we get fuel. Even charcoal, if you see, that is in from thousands and thousands of years, the energy of the sun is stored below the earth. That is what is called as charcoal. So there is nothing apart from the Lord's energy. And so that should not make us competitive with the Lord. We should be subordinate to the Lord. And only when we are subordinate to the Lord, then we can feel, we can get the mercy of the Lord. So this is a very deep science, and that have been explained to us by Prabhupada and different acharyas. That deep science, that how to see the world, how to live in the world, how to live in the world in a way that it is progressive for our devotional service, but how to see things as they are in their right perspective, and understanding what is my role in this, how can I contribute to the world, and how can I contribute for myself, for my devotional progress. So everything is very nicely given in the textbooks. And when we see the beautiful beauty of the Lord, and when we see the different things, there is nothing, when we see, we don't have to remember the Lord. Like that, the creation is because everything exists within the Lord. So now here in this particular translation, it is told that anything. Now when we see the creation, we remember the Lord. When we understand the sweetness of the Lord, and now even the material modes, the senses, everything, every single thing is a creation of the Supreme Lord. What we'll do is, maybe Deepa Mataji, we can read through the purport. We have only 2-3
Yes,
purports
Mataji.
today. Purport, yes, Mataji, Deepa. Yeah.
This one, Mataji, that the material. Yeah, purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. That the material creation is not permanent has been discussed many times herein before. The material creation is but a temporary exhibition of the material energy of the Almighty God. This material manifestation is necessary to give a chance to the conditioned souls who are unwilling to associate with the Lord in the relationship of loving transcendental service. Such unwilling conditioned souls are not allowed to enter into the liberated life of spiritual existence because at heart they are not willing to serve. Instead, they want to enjoy themselves as imitation gods. The living entities are constitutionally eternal servitors of the Lord, but some of them, because of misusing their independence, do not wish to serve. Therefore, they are allowed to enjoy the material nature, which is called Maya or illusion. It is called illusion because the living beings under the clutches of Maya are not factually enjoyers, although they think that they are being illusioned by Maya. Such illusion.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So now, when we see this creation, there is a spiritual world, there is a material world, and we know that only 1/4 of the manifestation is the material world, 3/4 is the spiritual world. And we all know that we are all eternal spirit souls, part and parcels of the Supreme Lord, and we are qualitatively same as the Lord. What does that qualitatively same means? Actually, there are 64 qualities is said for the Supreme Lord, and we have, to some extent, we have, uh, and our qualities are means like if we have anger, no, it is there in the Lord also, but our manifestations are in a perverted form and in a very minute form, and every full form is present in the Supreme Lord. So that way we are said that we are qualitatively same, but quantitatively we are very, very negligible. Nonetheless, we are eternal spirit souls. Now what has happened is we are supposed, what is our eternal occupation? Eternal occupation is to serve the Supreme Lord. Jivera Swarupa Krishnera Nityadas. So what does that mean? What does that mean is eternally serving the Lord. Why do we need to serve the Lord? When we serve the Lord, we are internally contented. We get bliss. All auspiciousness is derived, and because that is helps us. That is, if we say like in a radio station, when we try to tune the old time radios, no, we had that round things. When we try to tune, because if we are not in the right station, sound comes. And when we catches the right signal, or what wavelength they call, when it touches, so then we can hear it clearly. Similarly, the soul by nature wants to serve the Supreme Lord. But what we have done, because of our conditioning, because here, as it is told here, in the purified form, we want to serve the Lord, but in a conditional form, that is, when we are not willing to serve the Supreme Lord completely, when we have the tendency to enjoy ourselves, when we have the tendency to compete with the Lord, and when we have the tendency to not giving everything to Lord, questioning that why everything has to be given to the Lord, why He is the supreme control, why I cannot be the control. So we want to have the tendency of proprietorship, controllership. And because we have the tendency, if we are given entry into the spiritual world where everybody else is happy and is wanting to serve the Lord, then we will feel out of place, and that is not conducive for us, because we cannot survive in that situation. Like suppose we are vegetarians, we eat no onion, no garlic, and when we eat no onion, no garlic, we are completely satisfied. When we go and eat in any Hare Krishna feast, we are completely satisfied till here we eat, and there is no space to breathe after that. It is not that every moment, every morsel we are eating, we are looking forward for, oh, I should have eaten onion, I should have eaten garlic or meat or whatever. No, we are completely satisfied. But an outsider, if we say that, see, this is your lifestyle, this is your food you're going to get, you're always going to get something food which is no onion, no garlic, no meat, no, then that person will not be able to survive. We may say this is the best, and there is no karma, and then it's offered, and it is prasad. We may say all that things, we may say to extol it, but that person will not be able to eat because he is conditioned. He feels that I can eat outside better food. I want to eat that. That will satisfy my tongue. That is good for my health. This is good for my digestion. This is so many health benefit. Whatever may be the result, if we suddenly put him in this place and eat this only, this is your life. In your life, you're going to eat only this. then he may not be able to survive. But for us, we are able to survive. Similarly, this is a one more level of version. But if we are given a position of in the spiritual, suddenly we are taken and put there, and there is like you are always satisfied in your food. There is nothing that you are looking forward. Then we may think that no, but I would like to be hungry and I would like to eat because I want that. That is it. No, but we are not able to comprehend that how in the spiritual world you will not be hungry, but you are always satisfied. That we are not able to connect so well, because here we are understanding that when we want to eat, then I have hunger, then I eat, and through my tongue I taste it and I like it. But there it is apparently always we are not hungry, you are not thirsty, and but you are always happy and you are always satisfied, and every time you are happy just by serving. Now that may not be so much, means we would like to be there, but suddenly if we are put there, we may feel out of place. It is possible. So clearly Lord knows when to put someone where. So accordingly, he so to the extent of what we want to enjoy ourselves, want to satisfy our senses, mind and senses, to that extent we have got a playground to play. Like children, they want to have their own kitchen, then we give them a cardboard plates, and we put some plastic kitchen utensils and tell them, you play, this is your kitchen, you cook and I will eat. So that like that only we have been given this playground to play, so that you produce your proprietorship, controllership. You want to do something yourself, apparently do it. Okay, material energies will be provided by me, you feel that it's your creation, you do it, enjoy it, and you get completely frustrated by it. And that time you will turn back to see that actually what is the source and what is the real peace. And then when you're completely purified, you have a place. I'm waiting for you. Lord is saying, I am in your heart. I'm waiting for you always, any moment, any time, billions of years later. If you want to come back to me, I'm open. This life you want to come back to me, I'm open. So that is our great Lord. But we are so foolish that even when the opportunity is there to go back to him immediately, we tell that wait, little for me, I want something to happen. So it is called as Maya. So see here it is told that therefore they are allowed to enjoy the matter, which is called as Maya. What is Maya? Maya means that is not which is permanent. See, it's an illusion. We feel like a dream, something like a dream only. It is something like a dream that we feel we are there, we are doing something, this, and sometimes we get wake and like, what was that? So, but Prabhupada explains this material world as real but temporary. Because why real? Because it's a creation of the Supreme Lord only, so it is real, but it is temporal, it is not eternal, it gets annihilated and it comes into being again, which is not a permanent place. So like that, Prabhupada defines this. So such illusion living entities are given a chance at intervals to rectify the pervert. So because by false mastership, which we want, this we want, we have so many things which we want. So we are given a place to exercise our thoughts. And once you feel that, yes, it is sufficient, I'm tired, no more, I want to come back to you, Lord, I surrender, then come. Like that it is. Mataji, continue.
Yes, Mataji. Such illusioned living entities are given a chance at intervals to rectify their perverted mentality of becoming false masters of the material nature, and they are imparted lessons from the Vedas about their eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord Krishna. Vedaischa Sharvair Ahameva Vedya. So the temporary creation of the material manifestation is an exhibition of the material energy of the Lord. And to manage the whole show, the Supreme Lord incarnates himself as the Karanodakshai Vishnu, just as a magistrate is deputed by the government to manage affairs temporarily. This Karanodakshai Vishnu causes the manifestation of material creation by looking over his material energy, Sa Aikshata. In the first volume of this book, we have already discussed to some extent the explanation of the verse Jagrihe Paurusham Rupam. The duration of the illusory play of material creation is called a kalpa, and we have already discussed the creations taking place in kalpa after kalpa. By his incarnation and the activities of his potencies, the complete ingredients of creation, namely time, space, cause, result, mind, the gross and subtle elements, and their interactional modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, and then the senses and their reservoir source. The gigantic universal form as the second incarnation of Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and all living beings, both moving and standing, which come out of the second incarnation, all became manifested. Ultimately, all these creative elements and the creation itself are but manifestations of the Supreme Lord's potencies. Nothing is independent of the control of the Supreme Being. The first incarnation in the material creation, namely Karanar Navashai Vishnu, is the plenary part of the original personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, described in Brahma Samhita 5.48 as follows. Yasyaikanishvasitakalamatavalambya जीवन्ति लोमविलजा जगदण्डनाथा विष्णुर्महान् स इह यस्य कलाविशेषो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि. All the innumerable universes are maintained only during the breathing period of Mahavishnu or Karnar Navashai Vishnu, who is only a plenary part of Govinda, the original personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna.
So very beautiful, very beautiful that how Krishna, the 200 form of Krishna, because Prabhupada has given it to us, we have taken him, oh Krishna, Krishna is in my house also, in your house also, oh temple is also there, Abhishek is there, and so many festivals, we have everything, we see so many festivals every day in day out we can see, and we have access to temples, so many ISKCON centers are around, and we just take him for granted, but that Krishna, he's Prabhupada has made us accessible to that Supreme Lord Krishna, who is just a plenary portion, is Karana Daksha Vishnu, and who is the one who, through his bodily pose, the different Kotyan, the material universes are created, and in that one universe is our universe, which has 14 planetary systems, and in that one planet we have, and that is our Earth planet, and so many details. And what are we? Absolutely nothing, actually. We don't have a space for a dot also. But that great Lord Krishna, we have given that access. That is the mercy of the acharyas. So here, the greatness of Krishna is known, the mercy of the Supreme Lord, of the Lord, as well as the devotees are also known. And how we have been given that opportunity, the chance to get connected and understand our real position, rather than being stuck with the wrong position. And so, one thing here, what it, through this purport, it is told that how Lord Krishna is the supreme, and then how his plenary option portion is Karanodaksha Vishnu, and how he created the material universe, and his second incarnation is Garbhodaksha Vishnu, who enters the different. Now, so many universes are created, and how Garbhodaksha Vishnu enters into the different universes, and then how Kshirodaksha Vishnu, he enters into every living entity. Okay, so many species, so many living entities. We simply see some people, we say so many people we tell. Now, living entities, if we say, we can't even see in our eyes. Now, what is there in our, but everybody's heart, Paramatma is situated. So that is one thing. And before that thing, in the purport, Prabhupada also explains, very beautiful thing what he explains is, one thing, we have been given a playground to exercise our rights. Okay, this is for you, you do, you want to be the proprietor, leader, everything. Now, like that only, if we just allow, no, then we are frustrated, See, now when we deal with material energy, we are constantly frustrated. Nobody can raise a hand and say, no, I'm never frustrated. Not possible. Even if you are housewives, you are working women, Prabhuji is working outside, brahmacharis, all varnas, all ashramas, all castes, all grades, everybody closely one on one. If we talk, if they're truth, they will say they are frustrated. So that is known. So now when we get frustrated, then what to do? Then we feel that we are frustrated. Oh my God, this is my life. No, we have, so time to time, Lord sends his representatives. Then through his scriptures, through Vedas, through the books, through the preaching activities, we have opportunity that, okay, you are frustrated, read this. Go here, associate with them, and make your life blissful. So that path is also given by the Lord. It is not that he just puts us into the well, okay, you are crying too much, go and play and just leave it. Not like that. One small example, to some extent, we can, as a child is so much, is saying, I want, the parents, okay, go have it. And they just not abandon the child and leave. No? They'll be like, now he will come back to us. And when he comes back, okay, now you understood, no, come. At least for that child, parents will be waiting. No parent will just leave him. He wants to go in a mela, and they understand that mela you cannot, but they'll not just leave him and come. That is, to some extent, we can relate. And this comes to the mercy of the Supreme Lord. All facilities, time and again, is given. Means now when it comes to not non-human species, what happens? There is a process of evolution. Through evolution from one species to another species, for them there is no karma. Yeah, in species they are given a chance to get the human form of life. In the human form of life, what happens? We are given the scriptures, we are get through people, through devotees, through temples. We have given different opportunities to make our life successful. That is, if I want, I have an option. Now, if I choose not to exercise that option, that is left to me. That is not a problem. But the Lord, as Kshirodakshaya Vishnu or Paramatma in our heart, ever waiting, eternally waiting. Is there one person who is ever waiting for you? Even parents can't do it. At one point, if we are too much, what you call is, and the stubborn child, one point of time, parents also will give up on you. Parents will give up on you because it's not possible for, even if they want, it's not possible to hold on to you. It's not possible. Even if we are too stubborn and we are not just listening, then parents also will give on us. But Paramatma will never. Life after life, not only this life, life after life, eternally, whenever we want to look back to him, he is available for us. That is the greatness, that is the kindness. So anything limits, only the Supreme Lord has. Only the limits is only the Supreme Lord. We are just in between doing something like this, like this, like this. We are doing and doing nothing actually. So this way we should, the whole exercise of learning and hearing is to really surrender ourselves at the end of it and do the needful. Okay, we'll go to the next one. In the next shloka, we have three. So we'll have three devotees who will read because everybody can get a chance at least. So Vandana Mataji read, huh? Yeah, I think she did not read. Vasudha, I think she was. Okay, Vandana Mataji, you can read.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam.
The first one shloka you read, huh?
Yes, Mataji. Shloka number 43 by Srila Prabhupada Ji ki jai. Aham bhavo yagya ime prajesha dakshadayo ye bhavat adayascha sarvalokapala kangalokapala
Swarloka.
Swarlokapala Kagalokapala Nirlokapala Stalalokapala. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Prashanti Mataji, next one.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam. One second, Mataji. Gandharva Mandir, right?
Gandharva.
Sarva Vidyadhara Charanesha Ye Yaksha Rakshoragha Naganataha Evar Trishinam Rishapa Pitrunam Daityendra Siddheshwara Danavendraha. Thank you, Mataji.
Nobody has raised their hands. You read the next shloka also.
Yes, Mataji. Anye cha ye prita pishacha bhuta kusumanda yadu mriga pakshi adhishaha yatkinja loke bhagavan mahaswad ojasaha swad balavat. One second. Shamavat Sri Vibhuti Atmavad Abhuta Taranam Tattvam Param Rupavad Aswarupam. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Sudha Mataji will read the translation.
Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I myself, Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, great generators of living beings like Daksha and Prajapati, yourselves, Narada and the Kumaras, heavenly demigods like Indra and Chandra, the leaders of the Bhurloka planets, the leaders of the earthly planets, the leaders of the lower planets, the leaders of the Gandharva planets, the leaders of the Vidyadhara planets, the leaders of the Charanaloka planets, the leaders of the Yakshas, Rakshas and Uragas, the great sages, the great demons, the great atheists and the great spacemen, as well as the dead bodies, evil spirits, satans, jinn, kushmandas, great aquatics, great beasts and great birds, etc. In other words, anything and everything which is exceptionally possessed of power, opulence, mental and perceptual dexterity, strength, forgiveness, beauty, modesty, opulence and breeding, whether in form or formless, may appear to be the specific truth and the form of the Lord, but actually they are not so. They are only a fragment of the transcendental potency of the Lord. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Very beautiful. Prabhupada has given everything. Translation, it covers everything, that everything, every detail that exists is as a fragment portion of the Supreme Lord. We will read the purport. Chandana Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah.
Purport by Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Those in the list given above, beginning from the name Brahmaji, the first living creature within the universe, down to Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, Narada, and other powerful demigods, men, supermen, sages, rishis, and other lower creatures of extraordinary strength and opulence, including the dead bodies, satans, evil spirits, jinn, aquatics, birds, and beasts, may appear to be the Supreme Lord. But factually, none of them is the Supreme Lord. Every one of them possesses only a fragment of the great potencies of the Supreme Lord. The less intelligent man is surprised to see the wonderful actions of material phenomena, as the aborigines are fearful of a great thunderbolt, a great and gigantic banyan tree, or a great lofty mountain in the jungle. For such undeveloped human beings, merely the slight display of the Lord's potency is captivating. A still more advanced person is captivated by the powers of the demigods and goddesses. Therefore, those who are simply astonished by the powers of anything in the creation of the Lord, without any factual information of the Lord himself, are known as Shaktas, or worshippers of the great powers. The modern scientist is also captivated by the wonderful actions and reactions of natural phenomena, and therefore is called a Shakta. These lower grade persons gradually rise to become Shauryas, worshippers of the sun god, or Ganapatyas, worshippers of the mass of people as Janata, Janardana, or Daridra Narayana, etc., in the form of Ganapati, and then rise to the platform of worshipping Lord Shiva in search for the ever existing soul, and then to the stage of worshipping Lord Vishnu, the super soul, etc., without any information of Govinda, Lord Krishna, who is the original Lord Vishnu. In other ways, some are worshippers of race, nationality, birds, beasts, evil spirits, satans, etc. The general worship of Shani Deva, the lord of distressful condition, and Shitala Devi, the goddess of smallpox, is also common to the mass of people, and there are many foolish men who worship the mass of people or the poor class of men. So different persons, societies, and communities, etc., worship some of the potent manifestation of the Lord, wrongly accepting the powerful object as God. But in this verse, it is advised by Brahmaji that none of them is the Supreme Lord. They are only borrowed plumes from the original authentic Lord, Sri Krishna. When the Lord advises in Bhagavad Gita to worship him alone, it is to be understood that worshipping Lord Krishna includes worshipping all that is mentioned, because he, Lord Krishna, includes everyone. When the Lord is described.
So very beautiful. See, now there is nothing required to be told, only everything very clearly Prabhupada puts it. That is, it's only Krishna that we are supposed to worship. But what happens in common understanding is anything great, anything powerful is worshipped. Some movies also they show. See, now sometimes what happens when people are not believing anything, at least there is a concept of believing in some stone. A big stone is kept below a tree and people worship. So like that also is happening. And then they get some kind of feel, they some kind. So Satans, everybody is worshipped, but nobody is a Supreme Lord. Everybody is getting some little energy from that Supreme Lord. And common people consider that little energy per that thing or person or a form is a Supreme Lord, but Supreme Lord is only Krishna. But then what happens is we have so many material desires and we get someone source where who is satisfied in that material desire, but they are getting little energy from Krishna. And because we have this much desire, whoever satisfies our desire, we bow down them and we consider them as a supreme lord. But when it comes to worship of Vishnu or Krishna knows very clearly what is needed in our life for spiritual progress. Only that is granted. So when that happens, then because we have so much of sense gratification and then that is not satisfied, then we end up worshipping something where we want that temporary satisfaction and we end up thinking that as a supreme lord. So that is what is going on in this world. So only we have so many gods, demigods, so many trees and so many stones and so many things which are worshipped, because they all have got little. Some people are also worshipped, unfortunately. They kind of give some benedictions and we are happy with the little benefits which we get. But when we surrender to the supreme lord, when we said, Lord, you are mine, you decide my future, I know you are my best friend, I know it will be a little ups and downs, I have so much of, I want my life to go in one particular way and I feel that is best, but you know the best. And if that the best to get, now I have to go through a situation. If please, by your mercy, let me be able to go through it, but you decide for me. Now that takes a little step, and that takes a little, we should get that confidence and faith in the supreme lord, then it is possible to do that. And when we do that, Krishna takes charge of us, and it could be a little difficult, it is not easy, material world is not easy. And when we get through, but we know it is Lord is there, Lord is taking care of me. So that is possible through understanding, surrendering, and through the acharyas books, through scriptures, through associating with devotees, through Shravanam, Kirtanam, through the different forms of devotional service, then that deep faith increases. That time we don't finally try to worship anything and everything because we want something. No, we are okay, Lord, whatever you give me, it's okay. I understand that is good for me. It is not easy. It's not easy. It's easy to say than done, but that is what it is. That unless we do that, there is no question of going back to spiritual world. So now this life or next life, that is choice to us, but that is the path. That's the only path that is there. Mataji, last part.
Yes, Mataji.
Chandanam.
When the Lord is described as formless in the Vedic literatures, it is to be understood that all these forms mentioned above within the experience of universal knowledge are different exhibitions of the Lord's transcendental potencies only, and none of them factually represents the transcendental form of the Lord. But when the Lord actually descends on the earth or anywhere within the universe, the less intelligent class of men also mistakes him to be one of them, and thus they imagine the transcendence to be formless or impersonal. Factually, the Lord is not formless, nor does he belong to any of the multi-forms experienced within the universal forms. One should try to know the truth about the Lord by following the instructions of Brahmaji.
So this last paragraph, clearly what it says is, Lord, there is achintya bheda tattva, you can say. Lord is formless as well as he has form as well as he is formless. So the understanding is given here. That is, what is formless? Formless means anything and everything that we see, if we consider that as a Lord, that is not Lord. So that way, that is, he is formless. But if he's when Lord incarnates and he has a personal form, but we say, no, Lord is formless. Oh, how can Krishna be when he is incarnating as a 200 form like Rama, Krishna? How can we consider as a supreme Lord? Oh, Krishna is actually formless. No, Krishna has a form. He has a personal form. He has a personal relationship with his devotees. He eats, he drinks. He has a personal nature. So he has a form. But when we consider everything as Krishna, that time Krishna is formless. So how his form has a form as well as his formless. Okay, we'll go through the last purport. Maumita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam. Mataji, purport or shloka?
Sorry, shloka. 1 second. Shloka 46.
Pradhanyato yanrasa amananti leelavataran purushasya bhumana apiyatam karnakasaya sosan anukramisyeta iman upeshan. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O Narada, now I shall state one after another the transcendental incarnations of the Lord, known as Leela Avtaras. Hearing of the activities counteracts all foul matters accumulated in the ear. These pastimes are pleasing to hear and are to be relished. Therefore, they are in my heart. relished.
Purport
Thank you,
also you
Mataji.
did.
Okay,
Purport.
Mataji. Okay, purport. As it was said in the beginning of Shrimad Bhagvatam 1.5.8, one cannot be fully satisfied by hearing unless and until one is given a chance to hear of the transcendental activities of the Lord. So Brahmaji is also trying in this verse to stress the importance of narrating the transcendental pastimes of the Lord as he comes and manifests himself here on the surface of the material planets. Every living entity has a tendency to hear pleasing messages, and as such, almost everyone of us is inclined to hear news and talks broadcast by the radio stations. But the difficulty is that no one is satisfied at heart by hearing all those messages. The cause of such dissatisfaction is the incompatibility of the message within the innermost stratum of the living soul. This transcendental literature is especially prepared by Srila Vyasadeva to give us the utmost satisfaction to the people in general by narration of the activities of the Lord, as instructed by Srila Narada Muni to Srila Vyasadeva. Such activities of the Lord are principally of two varieties. One concerns the mundane manifestation of the material creative force, and the other deals with his pastimes in the form of different incarnations in terms of the time and place. There are innumerable incarnations of the Lord, like the waves of the river flowing constantly in and out. Less intelligent persons take more interest in the creative forces of the Lord in the material world, and being disconnected from their relationship with the Lord, they put forward many theories of the creation in the name of scientific research. The devotees of the Lord, however, know well now the creative forces work concurrently by the action and reaction of the material energy of the Lord. Therefore, they take more interest in the transcendental activities of the Lord as he incarnates himself on the surface of the material world. Shrimad Bhagavatam is the history of such activities of the Lord, and people who take interest in hearing Shrimad Bhagavatam clear their hearts of accumulated mundane flip. There are 1,001 rash literatures on the market, but one who has taken interest in the Shrimad Bhagavatam loses all interest in such filthy literatures. Sri Brahmaji is thus attempting to narrate the principal incarnations of the Lord so that they may be drunk by Narada as transcendental nectar. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the second canto, 6th chapter of the Shrimad Bhagavatam, entitled Purusha Shukta Confirmed. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so here what happens is, now the material manifestation, that part of Lord is explained. Now Brahmaji is going to explain the transcendental different incarnations. Why? Guna Rupa, when we meditate on the Supreme Lord's Guna Rupa Leela and Dham of the Nama Rupa Guna Leela Dham, when we meditate, that gives more happiness to devotees of the Lord. And so the amazement is there by hearing the material manifestations. That amazement is there and develops love, gratitude. That is a different level. But that pleasing, that sweetness of the Lord can be experienced by hearing his transcendental pastimes through his different incarnations, which are unlimited, like the waves of the ocean, never ending. And Brahmaji is telling, now I'll explain few of those incarnations, and that is what devotees meditate upon, and that is by hearing their love for the Supreme Lord increases by his loving relations, by hearing his loving relationship with his devotees, and that accumulate, that nectar is there in the Shrimad Bhagavatam, which is compiled by Vyasadeva, because he understood that only when the glory, when the pastimes of the Supreme Lord are sufficiently explained, that gives satisfaction to the heart of his heart, as well as the heart of the hearers, the speakers, the preachers, the devotees of the Lord. And so Brahmaji from next chapter is going to talk about the different transcendental, that is the sweet part of the Lord's creation, transcendental incarnation of the Supreme Lord. Okay, thank you very much. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद के समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय, वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय.
Jai Mataji. Such a nice explanation of these 5 verses. Mataji, if you allow, can we ask for question and answers from the devotees?
Yes,
Yeah. So devotees, if you have any questions, you can ask from Mataji. Vandana Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Very wonderful, very nice and wonderful class, Mataji. Mataji, I have a small doubt. that Bhagwan, this Lord Krishna is called Bhagwan, right? He possesses 6 qualities in full. This Aishwarya,
Yes,
Samagrasya, and all those.
Shadaishwarya in full, yes.
Yeah, right, Mataji. And we also know that he possesses 64 qualities, and so is
Yes.
Lord Vishnuji. And there is no different between Vishnuji and Lord Krishna.
No,
But
they
only,
actually
yeah, because he doesn't exhibit those 4 qualities, right?
60 plus 4, 64. Like that,
But
correct.
yeah, so like that. So Mataji, my doubt is that when we say Bhagwan, so why do we say that he possesses only 6 qualities? Why not we say 64 qualities?
No, 64 qualities are the details, no, like anger, all those levels, no, 64 number. This is Shad Aishwarya only, no? Wealth, fame, power, renunciation, like that. No, Shad Aishwarya it is called. Shad
okay.
Aishwarya, this is 64 qualities means anger, Raudra, those kind of qualities. No?
Oh, negative qualities are also there in 64 qualities. Okay, because I don't know.
Negative is, if we have negative is all enviousness and all. For Lord, it is
Okay.
not Virya Rasa, it is for him, it's a Rasa. Virya Rasa. So he fights, he wants equal person to fight. So sometimes he have these fights with the demons to exhibit, like with Bhishma, he had the Virya Rasa. So they had that fight in the battle of Kurukshetra. So there's a Rasa for 64 Rasas, qualities also, like that it is. So these are Shad Aishwarya.
Shad Aishwarya. Okay, these are called Shad Aishwarya. Yeah, okay.
Now, like, it is like that. And otherwise, essentially, this is something which has been given to us for our understanding. Essentially, everything that exists is in the Lord. But these are required because through scriptures we understand, oh, like this, we can, our intellectual brain gets satisfied by understanding the details like that.
Okay, Mataji, understood. Thank you so much for explaining. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes.
Dandavat Pranam. So, are these 6 Aishwarya Rasas, are they included in 64 or are they separate from 64 qualities, Mataji?
No, that 64 number exactly, that list I don't have. Maybe it is there, no? Maybe it is there also. He's most powerful, he's most beautiful, like that. It is Shadaishwara is like that. And that list, if we go through only, we will know. Right now, I don't know. I don't have that list.
Okay, Mataji. Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
We can see the nectar of devotion if we see, no? We will have the entire list.
Yes, Mataji. Sure. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Mataji, one doubt, Mataji. You said put that form and formless, na, Mataji. Could you explain the formless part with the example, Mataji? I didn't get that right.
No, what Prabhupada is explaining in the purport is anything great or any person that is great, we immediately tell that he is Supreme Lord. He is a Supreme Lord. Any aborigines, like a big banyan tree, they start worshipping the banyan tree, considering the banyan tree as a Supreme Lord. So they put the form of the Supreme Lord in everything powerful or any powerful person, or like so only some humans become God. Na? So they put their form to the Supreme Lord. So that way, he is, whatever that form is, it is not the Supreme Lord. Like that Prabhupada says clearly in that purport. All those things are not the Supreme Lord. So in that sense, Krishna is formless. Telling that those are not the forms of Krishna. So that way he is formless. Understood, no? Anything and everything, when we try to connect, put that form as for Krishna, no. Krishna is formless. That form is not Krishna. But Krishna is a personality. So that way, yes. Like that Prabhupada says in the purport. All right.
Okay, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Mataji. So shall we end the session, Mataji?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Mataji.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Dandavat.
Mataji. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
But I'll leave the meeting.
Yeah, Mataji, I'm ending.